Welcome to the dialogue today. Amanda's going to talk a little bit about the Blue Trail that's emerging here in the region. Amanda, um, when you're ready, feel free to take it away.
Okay. Are you guys looking at my Google Maps?
Yep.
Okay, super. So this is a really interesting approach that I think I am sure all who lived in the area have heard about the possibility of a water trail down the Red Cedar River for a long time, because a lot of people in the area love to paddle down it. It's just gorgeous. It's got a lot of rural characteristics. You can wait. My cat is not understanding why I'm not meeting all of his needs. So the unique model is the model of the Rotary clubs working together. So we have a very active Williamston Sunrise Rotary Club here in Williamston, and at our Mccormick Park, right here on the Red Cedar. The Red Cedar is just a big part of our community here in Williamston, and Rotary, if you're not familiar with them, is it's a service group. I mean, they are people who want to be involved in their community, want to make a difference, and so service projects are a big part of their goal. Oh, Athena has a friend too. So they thought, let's stop talking about this and see if we can actually make this a project that we can make happen and team up with the other Rotary clubs. We'll go down on the map and you'll see, but the Red Cedar travels all the way, and certainly it does start in Livingston County and it gets smaller on this side. And hopefully we will work with them one day as well. But focusing on where the river is quite large, all the way down to the new Rotary Park in Lansing, where we have the confluence of the Red Cedar River and the Grand River. And the Red Cedar River is just a sub watershed of the Upper Grand River watershed. So, everything that's in our river is going to wind up in the Grand River. Makes sense. So we currently have the Middle Grand River water trail and Upper Grand River. So those exist, and it makes sense that the Red Cedar River would be a part of that overall regional plan. And of course, the idea of being able to paddle all the way to Lake Michigan is pretty awesome as well. So here, I guess I'm going to start. So if you want to build a water trail, you need a couple things. You need a clear river. Right now we have a lot of log jams. The Rotary, all of the Rotary clubs. So we're working in conjunction with the Hazlet Okemos Rotary, East Lansing Rotary, and the Lansing Rotary, because all their members are along this portion of the Red Cedar River. And so they've got some money for log jams, and they've been working on that over the summer. So that's step one, is just making sure that you have a passable river. You also need to have proper landings where people can access the river, and hopefully those are accessible to everyone, including with people with disabilities. But of course, infrastructure like that, it tends to be more of a long-term goal, but that is the long-term goal. So you need landings where people can access the river, and you need wayfinding, so paddlers know where they are at all times in the river, and also for that very important component of safety, because you need anybody who's on the river, you want them to be able to get emergency assistance if needed. So these landings also serve as a way to know. I'm sorry, really, my cat is not dying. I don't know if you guys can hear his howling. So you have to be able to know where you can access someone if they're on the river, and those landing points help you reference, you know, well, I'm in between this one and this one, if emergency needs to access me. And the wayfinding should also include, hopefully, you know, the bridges that you're going under. We do have a number of railroad bridges, at least 3 that the Red Cedar crosses in Lansing. So it's a very large plan. And Rotary is just trying to work on what pieces they can. They're not putting together a water trail plan. You know, like you can't just say, oh, I'm gonna develop this plan, because it needs all these pieces in place before you can even write that plan. You've got to have these landings, you've got to have the wayfinding, you've got to have the emergency plan, and you've got to have a clear river. So if we start in Mccormick Park, we've got, oh, look there, it's even on Google Maps. There is a kayak launch here that exists already, which is one of the things that spurred, again, the Williamson Rotary to start on this project, because it's so popular. They do have some grant funds right now to actually improve that landing. It is one that you can access by vehicle and actually like drive your trailer down and drop off your kayaks or canoes, excuse me. And they would like to add the ADA accessible structure. I'm pretty confident they're going to be able to do that. So simultaneously, here in Williamson, one of the unique features of the Red Cedar is that we have these rapids in this area, and we don't have very many rapids along the Grand River or the Red Cedar. So it's really an exciting place for paddlers. So they wanted to make this something, these little rapids here, because we have an island here on the river that causes those rapids. They wanted to make that more accessible. So they have actually built a new kayak launch. It's going to be ready by, canoe and kayak launch, ready by October 1st. And it's at this location right here. The city bought the property. I don't know if you've seen the construction, but it's well on its way to being done, and that'll be a full landing where you can park and get your craft down into the river. And that will allow, so you can make a loop between this site and this site if you just want to experience those rapids. So it's not a very big stretch of river, but people are really looking forward to that opportunity. And it's also great for, you know, people who are learning how to paddle. They can go on this small loop, and hopefully, yeah, we can teach them. So as we go on down the Red Cedar, I want to show you guys the other landings that are planned. A lot of people do have in the past gone in here on Zimmer Road, but it's all private property, so we don't have any. It would be very challenging, and we're not seeing any interest from those property owners to grant said access to that location. Oh my gosh. You're okay. So the next location is this Roadside Park, which is MDOT owned, right here by Meridian Road. And while there's a nice parking lot and restrooms and everything, there is not a formal, like, it's easy enough to drag your canoe, but it's not like a back your car up and kind of, you know, real easy access there. So they are looking at a grant for that, and I think that there's a good chance that they will succeed in making this a fully accessible park. Then next is Okemos Road and Ferguson Park, which we all know is terribly under construction right now. This one that's right here on the river. But that'll be a really, Stop. It'll be a really excellent launch place. And another aspect, when you're building when you really want to put the water trail in place is, and you want it to be recognized by the state. That's the end goal, is this, it would be a state recognized water trail. Every place that you have an access site, you also need to have education on what can I do to protect this watershed, and what possible actions could I take or not take that are going to affect the quality of that water. You know, like like aquatic invasive species and the need to wash down your craft after using it, and not you know, cross-contaminating with, if you've been somewhere else that might have species that we don't have in our Red Cedar River just yet. But then basic things like, you know, picking up after your pet waste, like everything that you could think of that will help protect that watershed. We are also working on educational kiosks at all of these locations. The next spot, oh, did I miss the Harris Nature Center? I did, didn't I? I'm sorry. So before, after the Roadside Park, we've got Harris Nature Center, and Harris Nature Center is that here on Toby?
No, Van Atta.
Van Atta. I knew that wasn't right.
A little bit further,
Back.
further to the east.
There we go. Thank you. So in the recent flooding that we had during COVID, their steps and landing to their kayak launch floated away. So we're working with the Ingham County Parks, and I think that we're going to encourage them to apply for a grant through the Trails Millage to actually put that landing back in place. But that's a wonderful spot to plug into the river as well. All right, so then we've got Ferguson Park. Then we go through campus, and this is just going to be, you know, one of those really, really long-term goals. MSU, you know, did operate a livery at one time, but have no plans to do so in the future, and really have a lot of safety concerns with their students. And, you know, that's such a large issue to address. I just don't think that that's probably going to be anytime soon. There are definitely a lot of people that would like to see a formal kayak launch here, and there are people from MSU involved in the planning, but it's going to be a long-term goal. The next launch is here at Aurelius at Kruger's Landing. That is a very nice launch site with parking and everything. And then the last one will be here at the confluence of the Red Cedar and the Grand. And it will be here at the new Lansing Rotary Park. And I think, you know, the Lansing Rotary did a tremendous job revitalizing this park. If you guys haven't been down here, it's just tremendous. People flock here. It is absolutely beautiful. And then we have the livery here, Rivertown Adventures, right here on the river as well. And if you, so being involved in any of those rotaries at this point in time would be super helpful, because they're all very active in working on this plan. And there's also Friends of the Red Cedar. And if you, which is just Friends of the Red Cedar, I think .wordpress.com. Oh, I don't think I have that up. Anyway, if you just Google Friends of the Red Cedar, all one word, you can join that organization freely, and they will be happy to keep you in the loop with emails. There's no cost, and they're just really working to build this water trail. So that's it in a synopsis. I love to paddle, and I'm wildly excited about this plan. And like I say, it's been formulating for a long time. And I think this grassroots efforts of the Rotary clubs really are the push that is going to make it happen. And that's why regional organizations like the Tri-County Regional Planning Commission is supportive of me working on this process. And I think that we're going to find other folks at similar organizations. It just really keeps gaining more and more speed. Does anybody have any questions?
Well, I'm kind of curious, when you think in terms of planning a water trail, is there any sort of optimum distance you kind of hope to plan for between access points? I mean, is there, or isn't that, I know that's hard to make happen, but I was just wondering if there's anything you kind of shoot for. 4 miles, 5 miles, 10 miles?
Really, 5 miles, yeah, is kind of a minimum standard.
Okay.
And I think we're pretty fortunate because we don't have any gaps that large, and there are existing facilities at
Yeah.
regular intervals that we just really need to improve upon and make universally accessible.
Yeah, I've been kayaking parts of the Grand River down near Jackson and stuff. And, the upper Grand, it was hard for me to kind of identify access points, but then I'm kind of near Eden Rapids now. So I'm the middle Grand River or whatever. God, they got a fantastic trail map.
Yes.
Because the nice thing about their trail map is it all the access points, but then it tells you what's the mileage between one point and another point, which to me is very, very helpful. Because, when I was down near Jackson, I was kind of guessing, oh, geez, and the river, of course, goes, all over the place. So
Yeah.
it was easy to misjudge distances when you're trying to figure out what's a reasonable distance to kind of kayak for the morning or the day or whatever. But yeah, the middle
Really,
grow, that's
yes. I'm
that's
really
a
glad you mentioned
fantastic-
that because we're modeling the water trail after the Middle Grand River water trail. And in fact, because we're a sub watershed, we're going to use their logo to make that more universally recognizable by anybody who's on, any of those 3 rivers. And it just making like color variations on the same logo. And that also helps with regional, state, and federal funding. If we can show that we're all working together. But yes, it would, all of the wayfinding that we have planned would show the distance to the next landing, as well as we're toying with the distance to the confluence. And then on the Middle Grand and the Grand, they have the distance to Lake Michigan, which, maybe a lot of people aren't going to paddle that full way, but it's just, I love it that it makes you think about this is all one watershed, we're all connected and our actions here affect Lake Michigan. But you want the signs to also be clear and easily read, and we'll see. But absolutely, it'll tell the the distance to the next landing. Yeah, that's key for safety.
Is there a website for where like the Middle Grand is? This is stuff I don't really know about this, but so is there a website to see that? And then would that be where you would also link into that website as well? Or how are people supposed to find out about all that? But I mean, signage while you're on it, but to be able to plan ahead, how does that work? Is there like a website that you go to look at that?
Well, we haven't hit that stage yet, but yes, we are going to be a part of the MGROW website. And
Oh, the
Um,
okay.
that makes sense because the two rivers connect, and they already have, there's no reason to create a whole new website just for the Red Cedar
Mhm.
when there's a perfectly good site, and they said yes to that. So yeah, it'll be nice if you can find the information all in one place. But yes, you can find the water trail map to the Middle Grand River on the MGROW's website.
Okay.
And I bought from the
I'll put that in.
Middle Grand River for $15, a hard copy of the trail map, which I'm finding
Yes.
helpful too. With all the information in this kind of fairly short little book. So I found that helpful too, but yeah, it's all, I guess, all online too, but it was worth $15, that's for sure.
Yeah. And in fact, I just put that link in. You can get to that map, either the Google map or the link to buy that hard copy that you're talking about.
Thank you, Amanda. This is exciting. And what other questions do people have? Go ahead.
Does Lower Grand River have a comparable map than compared to Middle Grow, or I didn't find anything for the upper part of the.
Your
that's
hand
similar.
might be covering your speaker, John. I'm not
Oh,
sure.
okay. Yeah, just wondering if the other parts of the Grand River have comparable maps to Middle Grow.
The areas west of the Middle Ground, yes, but the upper, as they form in Jackson, no. Not yet, anyway.
How about number of miles to the Atlantic Ocean? Could we put that on the kiosk? It's John's next lifetime.
I think this is really exciting to just see how the different, in terms of the Rotary, it's kind of a functioning way of what we're talking about with a mind map of like
Exactly.
the different areas that can say, oh, we want to do this and work together. I think is really an impeccable. I think it's just great that the Rotaries are working together to be able to get this done. That's really exciting.
And the Rotaries also have regional and national funding when they work together on projects. So they're taking advantage of that too. And part of that process is also river cleanup. So I'll definitely let you guys know about any that are happening in the area. I don't know of any at this point in time, but that's often something that we have to come together and act upon.